I am a 40-year-old woman, married to my husband, who is 38. We've been together for 20 years and married for 18. We have 2 children, a 19-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. Over the years, my husband has been my rock, especially during the hardest times of my life. He's always been there for me, supporting me through struggles I never thought I'd make it through. Yet, despite all the ups and downs we've faced, our marriage hasn't always been perfect. I got pregnant at a young age, and as a result, I never got to experience what most teenagers go through. I didn't have that typical youth, and I think I missed out on a lot. Because we married young, I made some really bad decisions, ones that still haunt me today. Early in our marriage, I cheated on him twice. The first affair was with my ex-boyfriend. It lasted about 1.5 years and involved both emotional and physical cheating. The second affair was a brief online relationship with a random guy, which lasted about a year as well. I deeply regret these decisions. They were the worst mistakes of my life, and I know they hurt him deeply. My husband forgave me for these affairs, but it wasn't easy for him. He asked me to sign a legal agreement detailing how assets would be divided in case of a divorce. I understood why he needed that, and though it was painful, I agreed. We tried to rebuild our relationship after that. He was patient with me, and little by little, I started to regain his trust. He encouraged me to get clean from drugs, which had been a part of my life when I had the affairs. With his support, I managed to get sober. Over the years, we built a better life. He got a promotion at work, and we were able to buy our first house together. We went on vacations, and he always made time for me, supporting my hobbies and helping out around the house. He was a great dad to our kids. I felt like we were finally in a good place. Then, about 7 years ago, things took another difficult turn. I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. The doctor's words hit hard, but it was my husband's reaction that really stuck with me. He broke down, crying uncontrollably. It was in that moment I realized how much he truly loved me. I had surgery to remove my uterus, and while I was recovering, he took care of everything. 4 months, he did all the cooking, cleaning, and looking after the kids. He didn't let me lift a finger. Those months, I truly understood that I couldn't have survived without him. But recently, something happened that changed everything. It started when I was planning a surprise for his birthday. I wanted to create a photo collage of his life to show him how much he means to me. So, last night, I decided to unlock his phone to grab some of his photos. What I found, though, wasn't what I was expecting. I came across not just one, but 2 Facebook accounts. One was his regular account, but the other was under a different name. Curious, I opened the second account. What I found shattered me. He had been sexting a former co-worker. As I opened the second Facebook account, my heart sank. The messages I saw were not just casual exchanges. They were intimate, full of flirting, fantasies, and explicit conversations. I couldn't believe what I was reading. There they were, pictures, messages, and shared secrets. But I couldn't bring myself to read all of it. Instead, I took screenshots of the entire conversation and sent them to my phone. Then, I deleted the screenshots from his phone, hoping that if I didn't acknowledge it, maybe I could wake up from this nightmare. I put his phone back next to him, hoping he wouldn't notice, but I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing, and tears kept falling. By morning, my eyes were swollen, the weight of everything pressing down on me. When he woke up, he noticed something was off. He asked if I was okay, and I lied, telling him I was fine. He kissed me on the forehead and left for work, probably unaware that my entire world had just been torn apart. As soon as our son left for school, I couldn't hold back anymore. I opened the screenshots and started reading the messages in full. The conversations went back about 6 months, and as I scrolled up, I realized just how deep this affair had gone. They talked about everything, intimate details, fantasies they wanted to fulfill, even sending nudes. It made me feel physically sick. But what hit me the hardest was when I saw the message that said, "Happy 3-year anniversary." My heart stopped. My mind couldn't process it. 3 years. That's longer than I had even suspected. As I continued reading, I found messages where he shared details about our relationship, about my past infidelity and how it still haunted him. He told her about the nightmares and flashbacks he had because of what I had done. But with her, he said he could finally be free from those thoughts. They talked about how they had real emotional chemistry, and with me, he only stayed because of the children. He said being intimate with me was merely for physical satisfaction, nothing more. The worst part came when he said that once our kids were in college, he planned to leave me. He had already planned his future with her. He wanted to marry her. My mind couldn't even begin to comprehend this. How could he do this to me after everything we had been through? After all the support I had given him, after everything we built together? It felt like my life had been a lie. I thought we were a happy family, that we had a strong marriage. But in one moment, everything was gone. The trust, the love, the hope, it was all shattered. I wanted to grow old with him. I wanted to be the one he leaned on, the one he loved, and now I was nothing. I felt empty, like my soul had been ripped out of me. I couldn't stop crying. My body felt like it had no strength left. I was numb, but at the same time, overwhelmed with panic. The pain was unbearable. I realized that in all these years, I had been living with the delusion that everything was fine, that he had forgiven me for my past mistakes. But he hadn't. He had been living with the trauma of my betrayal, and I had never fully understood how much it affected him. I know he's my soulmate. I can't imagine life without him. But now, I don't know what to do. I feel trapped. I'm torn between wanting to confront him and wanting to run away from this pain. The last few hours have been torture. The thought of him leaving me is too much to bear. But how could I ever go back to him knowing this? How can I even look at him now, knowing what he's done behind my back? The weight of the betrayal was suffocating. I felt like my whole world had come crashing down in a single night. My thoughts raced, and I couldn't find any peace. The more I thought about everything, his lies, his plans, his relationship with her, the harder it became to breathe. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't focus on anything. My emotions were all over the place: anger, sadness, confusion, betrayal. I had to face the fact that my husband, the man I thought was my soulmate, the man who had been there for me through everything, had been hiding this from me for months. He had been living a double life, and I never even saw the signs. I wondered what went wrong. Was it my fault? Was I still paying for my mistakes from the past? Had I somehow pushed him away? But as I thought back to our life together, I realized it wasn't about my past anymore. It was about his choices, his actions. He had made the decision to betray me, to lie to me, to plan a future with someone else. The pain was unbearable, but I knew deep down that I couldn't go on like this. I couldn't keep living in the dark, pretending everything was fine. I wanted answers. I wanted to confront him, but the fear of what I might hear, of what might come next, paralyzed me. The thought of him denying it, minimizing it, or worse, blaming me, was more than I could handle. But at the same time, I couldn't just let this go. I needed to know the truth, to hear it from him. I had so many questions. Why? Why didn't he just leave me if he was so unhappy? Why go through all this pain, all this deception? Had he been planning this all along? Or was it just something that happened over time, something he couldn't control? Was I ever enough for him? Or was I just a placeholder until he found someone better? As I sat there, lost in my thoughts, I realized something. I couldn't keep living in this emotional limbo. I couldn't keep questioning myself, doubting my worth. I had to confront him. I had to face this head-on. But I knew it wouldn't be easy. I was terrified of what I might learn, of how this might all unfold. But I also knew that I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't keep living a lie. I stood up, my hands trembling. I had no idea what I would say to him, but I knew one thing: I had to confront him about what I had found. There was no way around it anymore. My world had already been shattered. Now, I had to see if there was anything left to salvage. The next few hours felt like a lifetime. The anticipation, the fear, the anger, it all built up inside me. I waited for him to come home, knowing that this conversation would change everything. There was no going back after this. I wasn't sure what would happen next, but I knew that no matter what, I couldn't keep living like this. I needed to face the truth, no matter how painful it was. And then, the moment came. He walked through the door, oblivious to the storm waiting for him. I took a deep breath and made my decision. I would finally tell him what I knew, and I would make him face the consequences of his actions. The weight of it all felt unbearable, but I had no other choice. The truth had to come out. I had spent so much of my life believing in the strength of our bond, the love that had carried us through all these years. But now, I found myself questioning everything. What was real? What was truth? I thought I knew him, but now, I wasn't sure. As I prepared to confront him, I couldn't help but wonder what would happen after. Could we ever rebuild the trust we once had? Could we move past this betrayal, or would it define us forever? I felt like I was on the edge, ready to fall into an unknown abyss. I didn't want to lose him. But at the same time, I couldn't keep living in this lie. I knew my first priority had to be our children. They deserved stability, and no matter what happened, I had to keep it together for them. But as for my relationship with him, how could I ever trust him again? How could I ever look at him the same way? As I sat there, my mind racing, I realized that the only way forward was to take it one step at a time. I couldn't make any decisions in the heat of the moment. I needed time to think, to process everything. But I knew one thing for sure: I couldn't let this define me. I couldn't let this betrayal destroy me. For now, I would take care of myself, focus on my kids, and seek out the support I needed. I had no idea where this path would lead, but I couldn't keep living in the shadows of my past mistakes and his betrayal. Whatever happened, I had to find a way to rebuild. I had to survive this, for myself and for my children. If you're reading this and going through something similar, remember, the only person you can control is yourself. You can't change the past, but you can decide how you move forward. Take time for yourself, lean on those who care about you, and don't let someone else's betrayal define your worth. Your journey is far from over, no matter how hopeless things may seem. Take the next step, no matter how small it feels. If you found yourself stuck in a situation like this, don't face it alone. Reach out for support, whether it's from a therapist, friends, or family. And remember, you deserve love and respect. Always. If you've been through something similar, I hope you can find the strength to move forward. If this helped you in any way, don't forget to follow my channel for more stories, advice, and real talk about life's tough moments. You're not alone in this.